What is up, y'all? It's your boy Steph, back with another reaction. And this time we have Unit 522, Two Chilling Deep Web Horror Stories graphic. I'm pretty sure at this point y'all know the deep web is a very dark, depressing, gruesome place. So it's kind of no surprise that the graphic is in the title. There's some fucked up shit on there. But, yo, before I start the video, I just want to let y'all know, November 20th, which is tomorrow, Tuesday, is my birthday. I will be 24 years old. So, today, Monday the 19th, I'm getting a whole bunch of videos uploaded. I'm getting a whole bunch of videos. I'm getting a lot of videos recorded, a lot of reactions done today, because I don't think I'm going to really put anything out tomorrow on my birthday, because I'm going to be out enjoying myself and whatnot. So I got like 5 or 6 reactions all ready to go. I'm probably just going to drop like 2, maybe 3 at most, but we'll see what goes on with that. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Today's video is brought to you by Vikings War of Clans. If you're a fan of real-time strategy games such as Tiberium's Sun or Red Alert from the good old days, Vikings is definitely worth your time. What makes Vikings so addictive is that there is more than 20 million online users who are constantly changing the way the game evolves. From the never-ending battles over resources to forging new alliances and competing in live events, you can even choose your own playstyle. Either defeat the enemy by diplomacy or amass a great army and overwhelm them. I personally recommend the latter. Support my channel by downloading Vikings for free from using the links in the description. You'll also get a special bonus of 200 gold coins and a protective shield. Vikings is also holding a contest on Friday, October 5th on their Instagram page, and we'll be giving away a total of 4 drones to the winners. Under the download links is a link to the Instagram page with all the information you'll need about the contest. Download Vikings War of Clans today.
Why do they always give anime and video game RPG females
Graphic warning.
fat asses and big titties? I've never understood that. Why do y'all give these anime and video game chicks these big asses and short dresses and big titties? The Freak Show by Jaden Sutton.
This happened a few years ago. I haven't touched any technology after what happened until now. So I've been using tech since I was a kid. When I was 12, I learned how to write scripts and programs to hack into systems, and ever since, I was hooked.
Oh, wow.
In my second year of university, I was quite good at hacking, albeit somewhat cocky. Throughout high school, I had made a lot of money hacking.
You're proud of that?
People would come to me to recover their hacked social media accounts, or to hack into their boyfriend's phone to read their messages. I was known as the go-to guy if you wanted something hacked. Even my school would occasionally come to me for help. Like I said, I made a lot of money back in those days. Halfway through my second year of university, I started getting bored of this. The money was good, but there was no thrill anymore. One of my friends told me about this cool thing called the dark web.
It's not cool.
I had heard of the dark web before, but it never really seemed that interesting. My friend told me about how it was full of drugstores, weapons dealers, hackers for hire, and a bunch of fucked up porn sites. As a hacker and a stoner, the dark web seemed right up my alley. When I got home that day, I fired up my computer and did some quick Googling.
He ain't tell you everything.
With my vast knowledge of technology, it didn't take me long to get set up with Tor.
There's more
and
to
Tails
it than that.
installed on my computer. I browsed through the hidden wiki, finding most of the websites boring or dead.
Go to the barbershop tomorrow.
I texted my friend asking if he had any interesting link directories. He replied, "Here are a few of the ones I use." He then sent me 5 links. I decided to click on the second one and see what I could find. I scrolled through the directory for a few minutes. He was right about how interesting the dark web was.
Interesting.
I couldn't figure out where to start, so I
Bullshit.
clicked on a chat room. The website looked old and primitive, but surprisingly there was one person online. I started talking to him. He seemed kind of shady. But this was better than just scrolling through a bunch of dead websites. He said he had been on the dark web for a while. Finally finding someone with a vast knowledge of what's on the deep web, I asked him if he had any interesting links. He sent me a link, then immediately left the website. I had no idea what was hidden behind that link. I wish I hadn't clicked on it.
I bet.
But at the time, my own curiosity overwhelmed me.
Here we go with that curious
I clicked on the link without giving it a second thought. After it finally loaded,
playing around,
I was presented with a pop-up box. It said in red text, "If you don't know what's next, you're probably in the wrong place."
Yeah.
There were 2 buttons, continue and leave. I instantly clicked continue. Biggest mistake of my life. It brought up a black screen with a blood red title at the top. The Freak Show. A message popped up.
Hello.
Interesting website you got here.
Thank you. Are you here for the show?
What show?
I thought to myself, what show? Out of curiosity, I replied, yes.
Since you are a first-time viewer, it's going to cost you 500 Bitcoin. Future viewings are free.
From all the money I made hacking, I had enough to fuel my curiosity, so I went ahead and paid the 500.
You're gonna regret it.
After paying him, I was given a zip file instead of a link. I had developed a custom-made antivirus that appeared to work very well. So I took the risk and downloaded it. When I unzipped the folder, there was 2 files inside, an installer and a file named README. I started by opening the text file. It just said,
"Do not send the installer to anyone, or else."
I went ahead and closed the text and opened the installer. It took about 15 minutes to install, which is strange for my computer. After installing, it opened up automatically. Across the screen it said,
"Hello. Welcome to the Freak Show. We use custom program for our streams instead of live streaming on tour due to the slow speeds. We also need the extra security."
After about 10 seconds, the screen changed. It was now a countdown with a chat room next to it. At this point, I was starting to feel that whatever happened next would not be good. The timer displayed that there was 30 minutes until the stream started. I set my screen name to James Kent 157.
I hope that's not your name.
Not my real name.
Okay.
But I needed an alias. I said hi in the chat, but was ignored. I waited the 30 minutes, and after the timer hit 0, a video feed began. On the screen there was a guy in a mask with 3 people side by side in front of him. He started speaking with a voice changer.
"Welcome to the Freak Show. We're happy to see all of our old viewers and a few new ones. We will now randomly choose one of you to tell us who to kill first and how to kill them."
At that point, I realized I was fucked.
Yeah.
I was in too much shock to close the window.
Bullshit.
I watched as the feed turned into a bunch of names scrolling until it landed on someone named Gore 725.
And that don't sound great.
I watched as he typed out his horrific demands, which involved stabbing and dismemberment and finishing him off with hot metal. I watched as the sicko did all of this. I watched as the victim screamed in pain. After everything was said and done, he said,
"Now, who's next?"
After he said that, I snapped out of it and went to close the page. When I clicked on the X, it said,
"Sorry, no leaving midstream."
I was trapped. The randomizer popped up again, and this time, it landed on my username.
Shut the
I
computer
couldn't
down.
respond. Instead, I typed in the chat, "You sick fucks.
Don't call the police.
Why are you doing this?" I was met with all the people in the chat calling
Don't
me
mention the
names
police.
like pussy, dumbass, retard. I then said, "I'm calling the police."
Oh my god.
That was a big mistake.
Yes, it was.
The owner of the site then said,
"Call the police, and you'll be in the next stream."
Why did you do
Logan.
it?
that made my heart freeze.
And he know your name?
He knew my real name. He then pasted my parents' names, my address, school, age, and IP in the chat.
Damn.
I immediately pulled the plug on my
shit.
computer, and my screen went black. I then ran to my parents' room and told them what happened. They called the police, and they provided us with protection. Within a few months of investigation, they found the website's owner. He was a 32-year-old man who lived off a combination of welfare and the money he made from his red room. It was many years later before I finally started using technology again. The dark web is an abyss of terrible things.
You bet.
And if you're smart, you'll stay the hell away from it.
Yeah, the dark web was your second problem. Your first problem was the fact that you like hacking. I found new life on the deep web by Renichiro, I guess, I don't know. Never mentioned calling the police to the people on the
Remember
dark
when
web.
deep web stories were the fad? Every week you would find a new tale of someone going too far on the deep web, finding something terrible,
Not really.
and end up being attacked for speaking out against it. This story is a bit similar. The difference is I still love the deep web. Allow me to explain.
You bullshit.
I was a senior in high school at the time, and I was definitely not a popular kid.
It'd be like
My
that.
friends and I were the oddities of the school.
It'd be like
The
that.
few people who dared to defy the norm.
It'd be like
It was them who told me about the deep web, a place on the internet where you are completely unwatched, anonymous, capable of doing whatever you wanted.
Not really.
Of course, I was intrigued. Most of my friends just used it to buy drugs. But I thought a little bit bigger. I wanted to know what happened in the darkest parts of the deep web.
No, you don't.
Whether or not my friends were telling the truth when they talked about horrible fetish sites and assassins you can hire to kill anyone you'd like. Of course, I wasn't planning on using any of it. It was the mystery of it all that fascinated me. Going onto these sites would be
I
like
was
peering
curious.
into a world only a few have ever seen. Like an entirely new experience. At the time, I was tired of the monotony of life. I would get up at the same time every day, go to school, attend the same classes, talk to the same people, go home, play video games, do homework, go to sleep, and then repeat. I wondered if other people got tired of that. Anyway, it took me a while to actually dive into the deep web. As fascinated as I was, I had been warned of what could happen to me. Who isn't afraid of being threatened by hackers or stalked by some creepy pissed off online? That kind of shit kept me from actually going on the deep web. Until the day I manned up and decided that it was time. It was time to delve into the underbelly of the internet. Time to see a world that I'd only ever dreamed of. For the first week or so, it was fucking boring. It was just drug sites and stuff where people exposed government secrets, or whatever. Nothing as dark as I expected. I wasn't really into politics. I don't even do drugs. So that was useless to me. There wasn't really
You
much I
guilty
was
by
into back then.
association.
So I was disappointed. The only reason I kept exploring was my sheer desire to experience the world I thought existed on the deep web. That world was darker than any drug site. That world had murder, torture, and all sorts of nasty shit. I eventually got my wish. The site didn't have a name. I thought it was a broken link for a bit, since it only led me to a black screen. Right before I could click out, however, a chat box opened up on the screen. Someone using the name admin typed in the chat box saying,
Congratulations. You found the worst place on the fucking net.
I stared at the screen, more bemused than afraid. It took me a moment to type back. Cool. That's all I said. What else was there to say? Hey, I'm here to see your finest torture porn. A moment after, the admin replied, Haha, you want in? I hesitated. All those horror stories were flooding back to my head. But it was too late to chicken out now. This is what I came for.
Nah.
Even if I just clicked out at the first sign of danger, I had to see what was there.
No, you didn't.
I had to know,
Bullshit.
not allowing myself to stop.
You gonna get got.
I hesitantly typed back,
You deserve whatever you get.
yeah. The chat box closed, and I was led directly to what looked like a video, with another chat box next to it. There were around 5 other people there, each eagerly waiting for something. The video was in black and white, and showed a small room. The only thing inside was a wooden chair. After around 5 minutes of waiting, the door to the room opened, and a man was shoved inside. He was blindfolded and only had on a pair of black briefs. He was followed by a woman. She was dressed in all black, and her face was covered by a mask. In an instant, the chat room went wild. I almost closed the window to spare myself, knowing immediately where this was going. But again, I told myself that this was what I wanted. Maybe not the torture, but the window into the very worst parts of the world. The woman pulled a knife from her pocket and cut off the man's blindfold as she shoved him into the chair. He didn't struggle, and once his eyes were visible, I could see why. It looked as if he had been drugged.
Probably
Resisting was impossible. I frowned, glancing to the side. This was fucked up.
But you
I
watching
knew
it.
this was fucked up. My conscience told me to call the cops, or at least click off. But I forced myself to watch.
Bullshitting.
She turned to the camera, pointing the knife at the man's throat.
Oh.
One of the people in the chat typed, "One of the fingers. Cut off one of his fingers." I clenched my hands into fists, taking in a sharp breath. Was this really fucking happening? Was I going to watch this guy get mutilated?
You don't have
as
to.
a small crowd of people watched in glee? I felt like throwing up. A feeling that only worsened when the woman nodded, and then turned to the man, grabbing his limp hand and carefully slicing off one of his fingers. Blood spurted from the wound, and the man moaned in pain, but he couldn't fight back.
Right.
Breathing heavily, I hovered my cursor over the X, planning on getting the fuck out of there.
Nope.
But I didn't. The woman looked unsatisfied, as if she thought the people in the chat could do better. Another person called for her to slice up the man's arm, and she complied. He was bleeding heavily now, clearly in deep pain. But these people were fucking sick.
You are too.
They were cheering her on from the
Fucking
chat,
me.
suggesting new and painful tortures for her to inflict.
This is what you wanted.
Eventually, I stopped breathing heavily. I stopped feeling sick. Actually, it was starting to grow on me.
See,
By the end, the man was on the ground, covered in blood.
you just like them.
I watched this for around half a minute. The people in the chat were starting to die down. They inflicted enough pain. They had their fun. Funny, I thought. How it was all over just when I was getting into it. I smirked. How exciting. This was better than any game I could play. Much better than any fucking class I could attend. Better than sitting with a group of fucking nobodies pretending like I cared for a goddamn second about them. This was the world I wanted to see.
Calm down.
This was darkness. This was the underbelly. This was reality. Fucking end him. I typed in the chat for the first time. She nodded for the last time, bringing the man to his feet before slowly dragging her blade across his throat,
Oh,
sending more of his blood spurting out.
damn.
Once it was done, she dropped him, and he fell to the ground, a lifeless husk.
You're getting horny off this, ain't you?
The people in the chat started complimenting the torturer, talking about how it had been another good time, starting to set the date for the next showing. On screen, the woman left the room, leaving the corpse behind. Of course, I quickly wrote down the date for the next showing. This was going to be a part of my life now. I was going to be a part of something bigger. I was going to command the death of these people. What a rush. So yeah, I still love the deep web. I'm in college now, and now I'm even more immersed in the deep web. I've seen shit some people would freak out just knowing exists. I finally broke the monotony of life. Isn't it inspirational? How one high schooler defies the inherent boredom of his life by discovering his true passion?
Not really.
I love the deep web.
If you were a person I was meeting for the first time, after you say you love the deep web, I'd stop talking to you.
There's always a reason to be afraid.
Yeah. after all that, you actually started liking the deep web. I couldn't talk to you. I wouldn't fuck with you. You wouldn't be on none of my social medias. I'd block you on everything. I'd block your number. Even if you didn't have mine, if I knew yours, I'd block it. I'd block every contact from you. I'm not fucking with you. Nah, I'm good. I'm not understanding how people be killing me with this curiosity shit. I was curious, so I went and I wanted to see what it was like. Okay. Video games, women/men, shopping, restaurants, parties, the movies, the mall, something. There's some form of entertainment out there for everybody. Everything. Everything. There's something out there for everybody. Anything. Come on, man. That first video, though, your second problem was that you liked the deep web, or that you went there. The first problem was that you enjoyed hacking and you obtained currency and payment in order to do it. That, by itself, was a fuck up. You deserve to get got. Especially this dude in the second story. Both of y'all deserve to get got. And you almost did get got, the guy in the first story, because you said he dropped your name, your parents' name, your school, your address, your IP address. Man, he had everything. I didn't even know he could get all that. I thought it was just your name, your address, and your IP address. Nah, he know your school, your parents' name. Whoo, you was finna get got. Man, like 5 dudes wearing all black or all white was about to just come up on your ass, break into your house to see you walking down the street or some shit and snatch you up, toss you in the van. More than likely it'd be a white van, but toss you in the van. You was gonna end up on one of those deep web fucking freak show video feeds in there getting tortured and getting mutilated and having your cheeks busted and shit. That's funny as hell though. Like you was about to get your shit clapped. Yo, that's funny as hell. That is it for this video. If you like my reaction, drop a like, leave a comment, and share the video with your friends and family on your social medias. And if you really like my reaction, subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. And tap that bell icon so you will be notified every time I drop new content, which I do on a weekly basis. I will leave a link in the description to Unit 522's channel along with the link to this original video so y'all can see it for yourselves. That is all I got for y'all this time around. Your boy Steph is out.